Hello, everybody. Welcome to the digital panel for Leeds Apprenticeship Recruitment Festival 2023. I'm going to sit down here. And my name is Philip, and I work for a company called Open Source Arts, which is based down in Kirksall Road. And
I'm Myra. I also work at Open Source Arts. Welcome, everyone.
And we have a very special panel today. I'm going to just hand over immediately to the panelists to begin and introduce themselves. So, hello. Hi. Just tell us what your name is, who you're representing, and maybe say... No, that'll do for now, actually. We'll get into more questions in a bit. You just tell us what your name is and who you're here with.
Hi, my name is Katie Rankin. I'm the Emerging Talent and Careers Manager at jet2.com and also the co-chair of the Apprentice Ambassador Network for Yorkshire and Humber.
Wow.
Thanks, Philip. My name is Joe Hockney. I'm Employer Partnerships Manager for Digital at Sheffield Hallam University, and I also lead on apprenticeship recruitment in our team.
Hi, my name's Beth and I work at Channel 4. My job title is Assistant Producer for Snapchat.
Hi, my name's Cheryl McFarlane and I'm Deputy Head of Apprenticeships in Digital and IT.
Hi, my name's Emma Bryce and I'm the Business Development Executive for our Digital and IT Apprenticeships at Luminate Education Group. Cheryl and I work closely together to speak to employers and work out how we can tailor apprenticeships to employers and students.
So you're from Leeds City College, is that right?
Yeah.
Excellent. And what does an apprentice bring to your organisation or organisations that you work with? Maybe start there.
Thanks. So it's all about the benefits, right?
Yeah.
Great. And we also employ apprentices as well. We've got 4, but we're obviously not answering because it's all about you.
I think for me, it's that passion, enthusiasm, engagement that you get from apprenticeships who can be of any age. And it's the fact that you're bringing in that fresh thinking, new ideas, the fact that they're learning whilst they're doing the job as well. So bringing in new ways of working, bringing in all that new theory and knowledge behind it that can help us drive forward and grow the business.
Thank you. So we are not the employer in this sense. We're a training provider, so we deliver the degree element of the apprenticeship, although we do have our own apprentices in our IT department, which is good, and they're doing very well. So really, in terms of business benefit, it's around talent pipeline, bringing diverse new young talent into the team and hopefully retaining that talent longer term.
I think in terms for Channel 4, the department that I work in is like the social team. So we do a lot of the social media for Channel 4's platforms. So I think it's really great. The apprentices are a similar like target market to who we're trying to appeal to. So yeah, a lot of the apprentices have like really great ideas that a lot of the time we like put forward and use on the social channels as well.
I think for us, we are, as a provider, we obviously offer apprenticeships across lots of different departments, from sort of business to finance to IT. We also look to recruit internally and upskill so that they can stay with us for lots of years. Again, as a provider, we work with employers to tailor apprenticeships to meet their needs so that they've got future talent pool of learners really who can integrate into their businesses, but also then continue to upskill through the different levels of apprenticeships that are available.
Yeah, I would say as well, like we're very lucky with a lot of the employers that we do work with that as a provider with a lot of apprenticeships to offer, we can kind of go in and offer one area, but then look at other areas of their workforce. So HR, as Cheryl said, digital, business development and things like that. So we've got quite a nice rapport with employers that we work with. And a lot of the time employers are looking for progression opportunities. So that first point of contact, they'll be like, right, well, what can they do after that? And that's really nice to start kind of mapping out for people as well.
And is that different for coming through the route of via an apprenticeship compared to other routes into the digital sector? What are the benefits of coming into the sector via the apprenticeship route?
I think, I don't know, I'd say probably I wouldn't know too much about non-apprenticeships, but I'd say I think it might have been mentioned over there that I don't know, sometimes apprenticeships might be seen as a young person's role, but some of the employers we're working with, that's definitely not the case. Employers are looking to upskill all the time. And so a lot of our apprentices are self-sourced. It's an employer who's got in touch and said, we'd like to upskill this person in this area. I don't know if you want to speak about kind of coming into digital.
Yeah, I think a lot of employers are realising that transferable skills are key as well, and how they can use those skills and then teach the knowledge elements which come with digital and IT, because it's not always a natural first choice. We're working with a lot of companies who are sort of targeting who they want to move into their workplace with them. So we're offering the softer skills, the developmental skills, and then shorter courses, and then onto the apprenticeship programmes, so that they've got this real nice pipeline of learners coming through.
What was the question? Sorry.
What are some of the... I've forgotten the question as well.
It was about why is it good to do an apprenticeship to get into the industry instead of another access route?
I mean, there are obviously different like routes to get there. Some of the apprentices that we've got, it's not always guaranteed that you will have a job at the end. But part of the reason that Channel 4 have set up their hub in Leeds is because they want talent from like around the north. So if there are like opportunities coming up towards the end of an apprenticeship, they are always like really, really keen to keep people on and keep people employed. So it's a really good route to obviously kind of work your way up into the industry that way.
Thank you. So yeah, just a quick point I wanted to make about entry into the industry through an apprenticeship, and that is you don't need necessarily an IT or a STEM background to be eligible. So just talking about our own apprenticeship program. So we're looking for A-levels or BTEC, but that could be in any subject. Doesn't have to be IT or computing. Now, if you've done A-level computer science or IT and you've got good grades, that's fantastic. That'll give you a good, solid background, but you don't need those subjects. And I just wanted to be clear about that because it's quite important on the diversity side. So a lot of employers are looking for more female candidates for IT apprenticeships, but then there's always for a long, long time been a shortage of basically not enough female students picking STEM subjects at A-levels and GCSE. So what we're saying is, it doesn't really matter what subjects you have done. If you've got a passion for getting into digital, then we'd like to hear from you.
And a good provider will always help you build up the skills, right?
That's what an apprenticeship is.
Yeah.
You're working from the ground up.
Yeah, and I think the real benefit of joining through an apprenticeship is you are developing that knowledge through the training provider or the employer, the skills, putting it into practice that will set you up, and you're getting that formal qualification. I think for us, we need more digital skills in our organisation. So everybody who's going to book a holiday with Jet2 is going to do it through one of our online systems, be that over the phone or in a travel agent. Everybody's booking goes on our online systems. We need to make sure they're always working for anybody to be able to work as a colleague or as someone wanting to book a holiday with us. But I think doing it through an apprenticeship, certainly within our organisation, it opens up so many more opportunities, because doing it as a formal training programme, we, for example, will put you through a lot of colleague development courses, and we give you that wider business understanding, not just the role you're going into. You get so much more exposure to the organisation, so many more opportunities to get involved, to find out how that organisation works, that will set you up for that future career. And understanding that wider business operation, how what you do impacts on other people and vice versa, will really help as you try and develop in the organisation when you're making decisions and when you're trying to progress up through the organisation as well.
Fab, thank you. Do we have time for some questions from the audience? It'd be great to hear if anybody had a question for somebody on the panel, particularly if you're thinking of doing an apprenticeship yourself. What kind of things are going through your mind at the moment that you might like to ask one of the panelists? Mm-hmm. Let me get the microphone. Oh.
My question is, it sounded from what one of you said was that there isn't a guaranteed job at the end of the completion of the apprenticeship. So what happens if you do an apprenticeship and there's no job?
Great question.
Yeah, sure.
I think within digital and IT especially, they do want to keep you. There is a skills shortage, there is a skills gap. So I would say at least 95% of our students do progress onto full-time employment within digital and IT. If not, it's part of the talks. What are your next steps? We're looking, there's opportunities. We work with you as a college to make sure that that transition into whatever you want to do next, because it might not be for you. You might stay and finish the qualification, but want to look at something else, and you take your transferable skills with you then onto something else. Don't know if that's.
Can I come in on that one? Yeah. So just to echo what you've said there about most employers, once you've completed the apprenticeship, they want you to stick around because you've been adding value to the business. They want to keep you longer term. Vast majority of the employers will offer you a permanent contract. Even if they don't, you've still got a qualification. You've got either, level 3 that you can then progress. If you come to us, you've got a degree in a computer science degree. You can go on from there, do a master's, do whatever you want really. So at least you've got a solid grounding in the industry.
And from our experience as an employer, if we have an apprentice that really shows real aptitude, we're desperate to keep them, because they know so much and we've put so much time into training them and working with them, and they know the team, they know how the business operates, that we're desperate for them not to leave. And sometimes we miss the boat and another employer offers them a job before we have offered them a job, and then they're off working for somebody else. So actually it can be a great opportunity for somebody who's done an apprenticeship to enter the workforce. Yeah. Who else has a question? Hi.
Yeah, with the development of artificial intelligence in graphic design or even copywriting, how can you prepare us to basically counter that intelligence? How could we stay relevant learning in that domain? Because it is a worrying thing for us studying in that field or wanting to study in that field. Wondering, okay, in 3 or 5 or 10 years, is our job still going to be relevant? How are you preparing us for that?
Thank you for asking that question. Who would like to go first?
We work with the organisations. They're key to our curriculum development. So we sit with them, we ask what they need from you as an apprentice, and then we make sure that that is mapped into what we deliver.
We had a really interesting conversation with an employer about artificial intelligence. A lot of it went straight over my head because I'm not really from that background. But as Cheryl said, I think a lot of the time the employers are wanting to integrate that into their workplace as well. So as an apprentice, I think you'd move with that all the time with that development in digital and IT, and then the apprenticeship would then sort of adapt, I think, with the curriculum.
I think as well, people are really afraid of being made redundant, but the more you know and the more experience you have, the less possible it is for you to become redundant, because actually people want people with lots of experience, lots of different strands to their knowledge, and that makes you a more kind of flexible, useful employee. So, getting into an apprenticeship is great because you learn from so many different angles, which I think you'll be ahead of the crowd, actually, rather than if you just had one specialism, which could be replaced by a machine. Did you have something to say?
It kind of follows on from that same strand. I think doing an apprenticeship, you're in that world of work, in that area. So you're getting that information from both the employer that you're working with, but also the training provider, where actually they're bringing in the latest models, the latest theories, the latest ways of working. And you're getting that information from both sides that's developing you. And it's there. I think that's the real key benefit of apprenticeships is you're getting that experience as well as qualifications that will set you up for the future.
Great question, though. I think everyone must be thinking about it, so thanks for asking it. Who else has a question? Doesn't have to be as good as that one. Yeah.
Hi. Can I just ask if there's opportunities for people who have young people who haven't got A levels, have got some disabilities, in terms of their capacity?
Is there anything else to your question? Okay, good. So just from our perspective, we employ one apprentice who's on the autistic spectrum, and another apprentice who is not a native English speaker and did not have any functional skills qualifications whenever they entered employment with us. And it did not inhibit our willingness to employ them as an apprentice at all. And we found the institutions to be really supportive with their learning, really, really supportive. And I'll hand over to the people who actually deliver the training to talk a bit more about it. But that's just my initial reaction to that.
Okay, thank you for the question. I can only speak for our own entry requirements and things like that. So we would be looking for level 3 qualifications. So either A level, level 3 BTEC, or level 3 apprenticeship. So what I would say is if someone doesn't have level 3, if they were to go away and do a level 3 apprenticeship somewhere else and then wanted to progress to degree level, they would be eligible to apply through us. And if they were on program, they would have the access to the same level of support, student support, as any other student in the university. Mental health, obviously a lot of our students have got dyslexia or disabilities, barriers to learning. We're here to support them all the way through because we want them to do well. We want them to get to the end and pass and graduate from their degree. So I hope that answers the question in some way.
So Channel 4, as well as the apprenticeships, so it all falls under 4 skills. So 4 skills, they also offer, they've just started doing like a virtual work experience program. You don't have to have like any experience, any qualifications to do that. And it's all delivered virtually as well. So it means that anyone can kind of do it at their own pace and their own time and apply through there. 4 skills as a department offer like really great insight if you need any like extra support with applications as well. So yeah, definitely don't if you think there's a barrier to applying and stuff, always reach out because they'll be there to help.
As a college, we can offer additional learning support or additional learning needs. The more we know about the learner, the more support we can put in place right up front to make sure that the transition then into an employer. We can even work with employers who are really keen to give people opportunities. So it's making sure that the fix is right for that individual, and there is lots of additional support in place for that.
I think some of our apprenticeships as well, employers set the entry requirements. Some employers might ask for maths GCSE, English GCSE. So just for our level 2 apprenticeships, sometimes level 3. If you don't have maths and English, as a college, we offer functional skills level 2, which is equivalent to GCSE. So, for example, you might be doing an apprenticeship and you had grade 4 in maths, but you didn't get your English. You can work towards that as well. You do just have to achieve that before endpoint assessment. So it's not the end of the road if you don't get your maths and English at GCSE. We can support you with that as a college as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah. Come around this way.
Thank you. Please, in terms of eligibility criteria, what's the prospect for somebody who probably is not a UK citizen, maybe on Tier 4 dependent visa? What's the prospect in terms of eligibility? Thank you.
The ESFA funding requirements, it's usually 3 years of residency within the country. What can help us is when you are applying is to send us, we will ask for evidence of your residency. If you've got a residency card, we can review it, but usually it's the funding agency's requirements. You can find those online as well, if that's useful, yeah.
Thank you. So we have another question here.
Hi, panel. I'd like to ask, how many apprentices do you actually offer and how long are the apprenticeships last?
I feel like I've been speaking.
I think as a Luminate group, we have over 200 different standards. The shortest term is 12 months and 1 day, and some can go on to 4 years. So it just depends on the pathway that person chooses.
I don't know the exact number of apprenticeships for Channel 4, but so Channel 4 have a base in Leeds, so there's quite a big number of like creative style apprenticeships around Leeds. And then there's also some based like in Manchester as well, and in London. And they range from anything from 14 months to 2 years, I think. So yeah.
Are you asking about just digital or everything? Just in digital. Okay. So Sheffield Hallam, so we offer, so at level 6, which is undergrad, and that includes level 4, 5 and 6 integrated. So we've got software engineer, IT consultant, creative digital design and digital UX. And those programs are all 3 years long and they involve block study at the university. We've also got a master's level, an MSc, which is 2 years. Okay.
Would you like to add anything?
So at Jet2, we have around 30 different apprenticeships that we have available from level 2 to level 7, but specifically in digital. We have information communication technician, software development technician, business analyst, IT project manager, data technician, data analyst, data scientist. I'll leave it there. Probably a few more, but please come see us if you want to find out more. They do range from, I say, around the sort of 13 months up to maybe sort of 18 months data scientist, 3 years. But yeah, lots of different opportunities.
Thank you. So one last question before we begin to bring this particular panel to a close. Who would like to ask the final question, please? Hello.
I'm just asking on behalf of those who would like to join apprenticeships from A level, what grades would you prefer, particularly for like data scientist? He's interested in data science.
So that's a question about what grades people would prefer. Okay.
Yeah, so for entry onto our apprenticeships, we're looking for 112 UCAS points. So that would equate to BBC grade at A level or distinction merit at BTEC. We can be a little bit flexible on the, on A level results day. Sometimes people don't quite get what their predicted grades. But roughly speaking, 112 is what we're looking for. All right. Anyone else?
Great. Thank you for so many good questions and for such interest in what the panel have to say. I think we should bring it to a close now. But before we do, I would like to ask the panel, what would be the one big piece of advice that you would give to a person who was interested in taking on an apprenticeship and was just trying to figure out if it was right for them?
I think for apprenticeships, because they are usually quite specific to the role that you're going into, I think it's key to do some research, to have a look into the apprenticeship standard, to do some research into the employer that you're applying with, making sure that actually you have got that real passion that is an area of interest. Because I think you need to go in with your eyes open, understand what you're committing to, because it is that kind of 12-month plus qualification that you're going through, and you really want it to be in an area that you want to get into. So do your research, read case studies, speak to people, reach out to people on LinkedIn, ask as many questions as you can before applying. And then when you do apply, make sure you kind of understand the organization you're applying for. At Jet2, it's very values based. So we want people that align to our company values more so particularly than we were looking for the skills. We want people that are going to be the right fit to the business. And then we can develop you through the apprenticeship to give you the skills to do the job well.
Yeah, and if you're an apprentice that's going to really work hard, then the employer's going to be lucky to have you. So you're also kind of interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you for the apprenticeship.
Okay, so my advice would be, as Katie said, do your homework first. An apprenticeship is a massive commitment and your career in general is going to last a long time. So make sure it's something you enjoy doing and you actually want to be doing it. So yeah, do a bit of background research. I would say if you're applying, get your CV up to date, get your predicted grades on your CV, get your work experience on your CV. Make sure your CV is nice and neat and tidy, clearly presented, concise, 2 pages max, I would say. And just be proactive. You're not going to be headhunted. You've got to find these roles and keep applying to them. And if you don't hear back, chase up and ask for feedback. Don't be passive and just wait for people to come and find you, because I think you're going to be waiting quite a long time, would be my advice on that one.
My advice would be, in general, just take like every opportunity you can, like when you're in an apprenticeship. Like, for example, in our department, there's a lot of like extra opportunities that might not be part of the day-to-day role that people can just get involved with. And just like getting involved with anything like that, anything that you're interested in, it doesn't need to be part of like the day-to-day role. So yeah, like be proactive and just learn as much as you can while you're there.
I usually say to people, where do you want to be? So if you're wanting to go to university or you want the apprenticeship route, look at your furthest goal aspirations and then work back at what you need, because they usually give you the entry requirements. Because obviously an apprenticeship is a big commitment, but if your dream is to go on to university, you need to ensure that after you've studied the apprenticeship programme that you can actually go on to university. I think you've got to be really honest with yourself about what it is you want from that an apprenticeship programme, because you progress through the apprenticeship provision through promotions and more autonomy, more skills that you're allowed to have exposure to, allows you to train on the higher apprenticeships. So I think you've got to be really honest about where you want to be and then work back. That's my advice.
I just suddenly got really nervous because that was all really good advice. I would just say one good place to research, if you go onto the Institute for Apprenticeships website, that lists all the standards that you could possibly do, all the apprenticeships that you can do. If you go onto there, look at the specific standards, so data technician, for example, it lists all the skills, knowledge and behaviours that you would learn when on an apprenticeship. That would be quite impressive, I think, if you could present that in an interview, that you've looked through what you would learn. Because as much as when you're applying to the job, the apprenticeship job with an employer, it will be a job description. That might just give you a little bit more background knowledge as well. And obviously, anybody who is in full-time employment, you can do that as well. You can look for upskilling in that way. Pretty much everybody in this room could put themselves through an apprenticeship or ask the employer to put themselves through an apprenticeship rather. So it's just a really good way of looking at how you can develop things throughout your working life.
Excellent advice. Thank you. Big thanks to the panellists for being here today and to the audience and all of your questions and your interests. So we're going to wrap up now. The panellists will hang around for a little bit if you've got any more questions that you'd like to come and speak to them about. And they'll be down on the floor in the main room in the Leeds Arena. So big thanks to everyone here today. And yeah, thanks for being here at the Leeds Apprenticeship Recruitment Fair.
Thank you.